Listen, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I would diagnose myself as a good time, okay?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, BBs. It's too early.
It sure is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan.
And, oh, baby, you'd think the biggest news that we have today would be something about the video games industry, something about a blockbuster film. But we've got something even bigger.
That's so true. And I feel like this happens to us more than we'd like.
That we have something bigger?
That we don't get to talk about video games.
Listen.
We're a video game news show, but there's usually something we have to talk about that's not video games.
Consider us video games adjacent.
Okay.
I consider us, look, is there video games? Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But there's other stuff too. And today, we have the biggest news, and it's exclusive. Actual play Twitch stream. Failed save is coming back tonight at 7 p.m. I don't know if you heard.
Ooh, exclusive announcement. Oh my goodness.
I don't know if you heard, but right here on twitch.tv/pixelcircus, we're beginning campaign 2 of our very good show Failed Save.
In this very building.
In this very shack.
In this very shack.
In the other corner of this fucking shed.
Mm-hmm.
We are doing a whole new season of our D&D show. Oh, baby, the people we have on this show.
Outrageous.
It's ridiculous.
Everybody. We have Anthony Carboni.
How did we get him, you might ask? How did we get him off the couch, you might ask? It wasn't easy. After 6 p.m., it wasn't easy.
Make the call time a little earlier just to accommodate that.
We have, of course, from Smirshgirms, Saige Ryan.
I've never heard of her, but I'm so excited. I bet she's great.
I know her only from Smirshgirms.
Yes, of course. We also have New Ape Come. That's very correct.
Yeah.
I put I made the overlays for this, so I want you all, as a fun little scavenger hunt, to look for New Ape Come in the overlays.
We put New Ape Come everywhere we can.
Because I really did.
That is, of course, a reference to our amazing GM, Vince Casso.
We got Vince Casso, everybody.
Who you might remember from the very first internet show.
That's true.
He's one of the youngest of us, and he was on the very first internet show.
Yeah, he was just a wee bab.
He was just a bab with a long flowing mane.
He was.
And of course, he's been on LA by Night. He's been on so many good
Frontier. Yeah.
He's been on so many good, and he is an amazing, amazing GM. Except for when he accidentally names a city New Ape Come and he doesn't notice.
Honestly, I think that makes him better. I think that makes him the best GM.
We have, a young up and comer, an upstart in the industry. I think she's going to go somewhere, honestly. And I'm so excited that and this is not a joke, got her first.
Look, I'm going to say it. We got lucky. We have a Bria Iyengar, everybody.
Oh
my God.
Oh my God. Have you heard?
God.
You haven't heard of her yet, but you will. We have Gina DeVivo.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
The brilliant and amazing Gina DeVivo. We've got Xander Genre.
That's true. Xander will not be here this week or next week, but we promise he didn't go anywhere.
He had Xander things to do.
We don't want you to panic and think that Xander has left the show. Xander is very much a part of the season, the campaign, the show. He's just out for 2 weeks.
He's out for 2 weeks.
He had things to do. So in his stead, however, we have Damien Hodge.
From Smirshgirms?
From Smirshgirms. Another real up and comer.
I can't believe it, from a Smirshgirms. And of course, Kaylee Bray. Can you believe?
Of Damsel's Dice and Everything Nice, right?
Of 97 different things on Hyper RPG.
Of
150 different things on Fear HQ.
Of D&D in a castle?
Yo, what do you got to do to get invited to this D&D in a castle? That's what I want to know.
You have to be as good as Kaylee. I'm not even going to bother.
Can I fake it? Anyway, this is happening tonight, 7 p.m. on this very channel.
Is there going to be a podcast the new season? Yes. Yes, there is.
It'll be a podcast. It'll be on our Twitch VODs. It'll be on our YouTube channel. It's going to be everywhere.
It's going to be everywhere.
It's going to be everywhere.
It is.
We have a deal with Norwegian Cruise Lines,
Okay.
and it will be on all of the in-suite televisions.
Norwegian just canceled like all of the cruises.
Yeah, it was probably a bad idea to go with Norwegian Cruise Lines anyway. I was on a Norwegian's cruise once, and I'm not going to say for what, but it was for a very big kind of industry cruise thing that happens. One of these events where everybody goes and nerds up together.
Yep.
I'm not going to say which one, but it was on a Norwegian cruise ship, and oh boy, was everyone sick by the end. People just were not washing the hand. People had never they just didn't understand that a cruise ship is a petri dish, and you got to wash your hands everywhere you go.
Icky.
By contrast, I went on a Disney cruise once, and they force you to wash your hands everywhere you go.
Good.
There's literally like 3 people outside of each room whose entire job is just like, wash your hands right there.
The mouse is just standing right outside. Like,
it's Minnie Mouse in her severe pantsuit.
you know what?
With
That
a
is
club.
Great introduction to the news today. Let's talk about Minnie Mouse's pantsuit, shall we?
I don't think we put it in, but we can look up Minnie
I
Mouse.
thought you had it. I thought you pulled it up.
I can pull it up again. It's all over the place. Listen, so here's the deal. Minnie Mouse, famously a dress girl.
Yeah. One specific dress.
She's got a look.
It's not about she's always in dresses. It's a cartoon character. So you primarily see Minnie in one outfit.
She's got a look. She's stuck with it for years and years and years. It's her thing. But, every once in a while, you switch things up. You do something new. And of course, when Disney does it, they do it in a very big, splashy way. So, Stella McCartney designed a brand new pantsuit for Minnie Mouse to wear this season. And, of course, there are people that hate it because there are people that just want to fuck M&Ms, as we know. How about now? So there's Minnie Mouse's new pantsuit.
And it looks great.
Can I tell you something?
You get those emotes out of chat. You didn't see anything.
There was nothing to see. Can I tell you something? This is the least biggest deal in the world.
Yeah. This is the smallest deal.
I change my clothes almost every day.
Congratulations. And I change my clothes 4 times a day.
Yeah. Listen. But of course, there is an industry of outrage that has to really speak directly to my dad and the rest of the tinfoil hat crew, if I'm honest.
Sure.
To talk about how Disney is trying to destroy gender roles, how they're ruining everything.
Look,
Minnie Mouse is wearing pants.
I wish Disney was going to destroy gender roles. Come on. Man, if Disney was trying to destroy gender roles, we'd be making progress, everybody. That's a big fucking company.
That's a big company.
They're not. Look, I would love it.
They're just trying to sell some extra Minnie Mouse dolls. The economy's in a bit of a slump.
Exactly.
That's it. But, of course, there's this whole industry of outrage, like Fox News and all this stuff. Candace Owens went on a rant because that's what she does. And so, of course, it had to be turned into a thing. There's nothing we should be talking about less. I can't believe we're talking about it, if I'm honest.
People are...
But, of course, it turns into a whole thing where, like, there's trending tweets, and it's all over Twitter, and it's like, hey, man, hey. Does she have pockets? No, Cassidy Weaver.
No.
She still does not have pockets. Disney has not moved that far forward.
Everybody's talking about how the problem is, at the end of the day, that Tucker Carlson won't want to fuck Mickey Mouse anymore. Or Minnie Mouse.
Will he still want to fuck Mickey Mouse? That's the question.
Hey, that's his personal business.
That's his personal business. Listen, he's got his hands full with various M&M Mars candies. You know what I mean? He doesn't have time to move on to the mouse. I just like, you know that there are people sitting in Disney marketing that are just like, here's what's hilarious. We're going to offer a doll of Minnie Mouse in pants, and we don't have to even promote it very much.
Yep.
Because we know that the hate mongers will promote it for us because they'll just be so mad she's wearing pants.
Yeah.
And they can say that and they can know it. They can know it for certain.
You make a very good point, Erica. I love the irony of her rant as being about, I think, Candace Owens. She was wearing a pantsuit while going on about Minnie's pantsuit.
Yeah, she was at least wearing like a blazer shoulder pad business blouse combo.
Not a poofy sleeved polka dot dress, Candace?
With a string of pearls and a vacuum cleaner? Seems weird.
How will I know you have a vagige?
Did you say Failed Safe's coming back?
I did say Failed Safe's coming back. Someone asked if Damien will be there. He will. What's next?
That's right.
Male cartoon characters in dresses. Can you imagine? Bugs Bunny in a dress?
I can't. How did we get from all the way on the other side of the house? Special guest Damien Haas. Ladies and gentlemen, from all the way on the other side of the house.
We have our ways.
Anyway, Minnie Mouse can wear pants, and it's a problem, I guess.
I guess. Yeah.
I want to move to. You know, today I'm a little chilly.
Yeah?
Yeah, where's the little heat guy? Saige is so happy that I said that.
I love it.
I want to walk to another thing here.
Okay.
Just a real quick hop, skip, jump
Let's
to
do
something that is hilarious to me. You might remember that a couple months back, we talked about Ubisoft, creators of Rayman. Everybody loves Rayman. They released Ubisoft Digits, an NFT. You know, they were putting NFTs into, I think it was, what was it, like a Rainbow Six?
Unfollow the hexagons.
I forget what it was. But they were putting NFTs in, and they were like, hell yeah, NFTs, and this is it, and blah, 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 and they got so excited, and guess what? Ubisoft found out what it's like to be living in a fucking bubble, because it turns out nobody wanted their NFTs.
What?
Turns out nobody bought their NFTs. Not even Paris Hilton. And she buys a lot of NFTs.
She buys a lot of NFTs.
We'll get to that. But nobody bought them at all. And so, in a new interview with the Australian site Finder, a member of Ubisoft talked about, I think it's just one of Ubisoft's executives who clearly spearheaded this, saying, well, you know, gamer feedback was negative to the point of being aggressive, as gamers are wont to do. The big names in games press were also tepid in their analysis. One way or the other, this was a landmark moment in gaming, but the media clearly didn't want to gain the ire of their readers. It was good. It was the children who were wrong.
Literally, though, here's what they said. They said, well, everyone liked it except for the people and the other people.
Yeah, everyone liked it in this room.
Right. Everyone liked it except for our audience and the media.
And then he goes on. This executive, he's the VP of Strategic Innovations Lab, which means it's his job to come up with dumb shit like this.
Yeah.
Nicolas Pouard. Your name's Nicholas. Deal with it. You're an American now, and we don't like your NFTs or your fancy pronunciation of your name.
Yeah, once you release an NFT, unfortunately, you're an American.
Yeah, you're the most American, and it's a problem. He says, I think gamers don't get what a secondary market can bring to them. For now, because of the current situation and context of NFTs, gamers really believe it's first destroying the planet and second just a tool for speculation. But what we are seeing first is the end game. The end game is about giving the players the opportunity to resell their items once they're finished with them or finished playing the game. It's for them. It's beneficial, but they don't get it for now. You dummies don't understand what we're doing. No, we understand.
We understand. We just don't want it.
We literally said no.
And you heard us say no, and you said,
We've said before.
You got it.
We've said before that we understand what you want is a secondary market that you control and get a piece of.
You know, this is like This is like being a woman and rejecting a man a lot of the time. And you're like, no, I don't want to go out with you. And they're like, you just can't see what we could have.
Oh, but you will.
But you just don't know what you're missing out on. I swear I see something between us.
I know you do. I'm telling you that what you're seeing
I'm not interested
is not going to happen. I'm not interested in. It isn't real. This is your idea. I don't like your idea. Hey, Ubisoft, we're not dumb. We understand what an NFT is. We hate it.
Right.
Sorry.
We know what you're doing and we don't like it and we want you to go away.
Now, we've also talked before about how if you really wanted to have a secondary resale market, I think a lot of players would enjoy that depending on the game.
It doesn't have to be on the blockchain.
It does not have to be on the blockchain. It doesn't have to be an NFT. If you are making me log in to Uplay, and you have your own server security, system security, in-game security, that's all you need.
That's it. Open up a market.
You can do it if you want. You just don't want to.
Yep. Think about it. Hey, everybody. Let me tell you about RuneScape. You could just go to the market and you could trade people things for in-game currency.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Why not? Same concept. In-game.
Just do it in-game.
Because, hey, that currency is just as made up as crypto.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. Because Ubisoft, like all other speculators in this bubble market, were hoping that somehow a Rainbow Six gun, because it's an NFT, would become valuable to people outside of gaming and to art collectors and speculators within this bubble. And they were hoping somehow their Rainbow Six gun would go for $100,000. And then they'd be like, shit, all we did was make a Rainbow Six gun. It doesn't work that way. That's why this is being called a get-rich-quick scheme. Because that's what you're doing. And it's blatantly obvious. Did you know Paris Hilton was super into NFTs?
I didn't until I saw the clip. The cursed clip.
There's nothing I want to hear less in my life than Jimmy Fallon and Paris Hilton discussing NFTs.
It's so wild. I was sitting in a room with somebody the other day, and they were talking like mad shit on Paris Hilton. They had watched her documentary about her experiences, and were like, she's just fucking greedy. She's talking about wanting to make $1 billion and all of this. And I'm like, yeah, look at the environment she was raised in. Yeah, of course. That makes perfect sense. Sorry, I don't expect Paris Hilton to be the messiah of the capitalist anarchy.
Yeah.
Communist anarchy.
Somehow she turned out just like super enlightened from Go. Like,
right.
Is that what we were hoping for?
No, we don't expect that, and we still say, hey, she's actually been through a lot. Those things are still valid, even if she wants to make $1 billion. I don't agree with that. I don't want her to make $1 billion. I don't want anybody to make $1 billion. But here we are. And I still had to defend Paris Hilton after this clip. Can you believe that? The fact that someone made me defend Paris Hilton after this.
You can defend certain things about somebody and not like other things about somebody.
Right. Don't hold women to higher standards of being good and understanding things than you hold the men to.
But, you know, I think if you want to talk about a potential for one of the most weirdly awkward interviews in all of late night, I mean, just Jimmy Fallon and Paris Hilton together is enough.
Drop it in here so we can audio if you want to watch it.
Yeah, is enough. It's like a 7-minute clip, though. I don't
I've
know
got
where
it.
to go.
It goes to the right spot.
Okay.
I got you.
But then when you add NFTs to the awkwardness of Paris Hilton and Jimmy Fallon trying to have a conversation, it turns really wild.
That'll automatically start at the correct spot.
Incredible thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I jumped in.
I know, I heard. I'm so happy I taught you what they were.
You did. You taught me what's up, and then
She wants to.
I got an ape too because I saw you on the show with people, and you said you got a MoonPay, so I went and I copied you and did the same thing.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
This is your
mine.
ape.
I can't
What
believe
you
I
did,
let this
It's really
go on
cool.
air.
Like the hat, the shades.
And what?
By the way, do you hear how little applause there is right there?
It's so fucking awkward. It's so low energy.
That is the height. So there's a warm-up guy at every one of these shows if you go to.
That was
the warm-up guy going a
Another
clap.
version of it where he takes the hat off and blonde hair comes out. So.
listen, they're trying to talk about these Bored Apes.
Which this must be sponsored.
I don't think it's
You don't
not
think it's sponsored?
It's not sponsored. They are just speculators in this market. And here's what's fucked up. They are wealthy people with a large audience who are speculators in this market. And so they are hoping just by talking about
They will
this,
manipulate it.
they will manipulate the market. But not just that. Paris Hilton has her own NFTs. And she gave some out to the audience. And the audience was like, Oprah gave out cars. I can drive a car home. What the fuck am I going to do? And her NFTs are literally photos of her wedding.
That shit's funny as hell.
It's hilarious. And everybody in the audience is like, I guess I have a photo of Paris Hilton's wedding now?
Okay, so here's the thing. Jimmy Fallon is like...
Finish your sentence.
A little weird.
Yeah.
Always around people like Paris Hilton. Like these very traditionally Eurocentric, like hot girls. He's always a little weird around. Where,
He's a little comedy nerd.
He's a little comedy nerd that clearly gets into this place of like, oh, sitting next to pretty girl, what do I do? Jimmy Fallon instantly, whenever there's someone like Paris Hilton, turns into this guy.
Do you remember, like, Conan O'Brien used to have a bit where he was that guy, but he wasn't that guy.
Correct.
Craig Ferguson used to have a bit where he was that guy, but he wasn't that guy.
Jimmy Fallon, that guy.
Yeah.
So he's already sitting there simping really hard for Paris Hilton. And then he's like, thank you for teaching me about NFTs. I thought this one is really...
I bought a cool monkey. Do you like me?
Like, this one looked cool because I'm glad that you liked it. So, like, you know, that's cool. I thought this one, like, reminded me of me. Do you think so?
How weird is it for somebody to, like... It's weird to me that somebody would have, now for half their life, been on Saturday Night Live. And then the host of the fucking Tonight Show.
Yeah.
And still get weird around, like, models and celebrities and things like that.
Yeah.
Every Jimmy Fallon interview is just like, you don't have to laugh that hard. You don't have to finish their sentences. Just calm down.
Yeah.
Chill out about it.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know, man. So Paris Hilton has apparently been trying to sort of rebrand herself as, like, financial crypto guru.
Yeah.
It's been, like, a huge thing for her image recently. She also started, like, one of the first, like, areas that, like, for money areas in Roblox. Like 2 years ago,
Yep.
she had like a Paris Hilton thing in Roblox that was all microtransactions and
like,
stuff.
Look, if you're an aspiring capitalist, Paris Hilton's fucking brilliant.
I mean, look, if you're gonna use your sort of like, she has what is like a vague background radiation of recognition in pop culture, right?
Right.
You can know her for a few things, or maybe you don't know much about her, but you know her name. And she's very smart about using that. She's clever. She's a clever capitalist. She comes from a family of very clever capitalists. Perhaps you've heard of their very many buildings that you can rent a bed in.
Or maybe you can't because they're very expensive.
They're very expensive, especially around convention times. Boy, let me tell you something. When they say that you can't price fix, they only mean in certain markets. Yeah, so she's pushed very hard into the NFT space. She has a very huge empire. Her capitalist empire right now, Paris Hilton. 45 branded stores, 27 fragrances, 19 product lines, a bunch of investments. She somehow headlined an online music festival in Decentraland, which is one of these metaverse crypto nerd hangouts with Deadmau5.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all are trying to make fetch happen a lot. Y'all are trying so hard to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. I don't want a picture of an ape.
I don't want it
And
at
if I
all.
want one, I can look at one. You still haven't explained why it means anything.
While we're talking about capitalists,
Yeah.
let's continue. Let's get all of the capitalism
This
out
is
of the
why
way.
we don't talk about video games. Let me tell you something. When the world gets a little better,
Oh, we're going to talk about so many games?
we're going to talk about video games
Ooh,
so many.
We're just going to spend all day talking about little indie games. Won't that be great?
Jesus.
Yeah.
I would love that.
When the revolution comes, We're there.
Hey,
But today,
I just
unfortunately,
I just want to say, I don't know whether a hype train is good or bad. We just got to level 5. If that's good, great. If it's bad, I hope everyone's okay. Anybody who tries to tell me what a hype train is shadow banned, of course, from all of Twitch. But we do want to thank you for your generosity. And if you're new, we do a big roll call of everybody at the end. So if you think we're ignoring, we are not ignoring. We're seeing it, and we love you.
we do.
So tell me more about capitalism.
Let's talk about Elon Musk.
Fuck this guy.
Fuck this guy.
Hey, Elon Musk, you dumb dummy, dumb. How many rockets have we shot into space? A bazillion. They're all bad for the environment. It's fine. We've never managed to shoot a rocket into space and have it destroy some of space.
Yeah. Until now.
Until Elon Musk.
He could be the first.
Here comes what happens with the privatization of the space race. A SpaceX rocket from a few years back is going to hit the moon and explode. It's just going to hit the moon and explode.
Hey, man. I'm going to come to you on a different level here. As a witch, I have to plead with you. Please don't fuck with the moon.
Yeah, we need that.
We need that really bad. And I'm going to beg you, do not hit the moon. Do not hit the moon.
So the Falcon 9 from 2015, after it completed its mission, it didn't have enough fuel to return towards Earth, which it was supposed to do. So instead, it had to hang out up in space. And it's just been hanging there, because how do you get a rocket down from space? You don't. Look up the amount of space junk that's just floating in Earth orbit, and you will be freaked out. But, so this was abandoned in high Earth orbit in 2015, and it's just been up there being pulled by different gravitational forces, and whoops.
Samuel F. Costa in the live studio audience said, UA is going to fuck us up. And you're correct. Princess UA, the moon, is going to be pissed.
Yeah. I know the moon's boyfriend.
Well.
And he's going to be so mad.
They like kissed once. Okay, everybody. We got to stop that.
There have been, like, maybe a professor of space, an astronomer. I need more coffee.
I've got Dr. Pepper in a cup. Anything else?
No, man. I'm good. Astronomer John McDowell says, over the decades, there have been maybe 50 objects in space that we've lost track of. Maybe 50.
It's not a big number.
This is the first one where it's like, oops, we lost track of it, and it's going to hit the moon and explode. Now, somebody pointed out in the live studio audiences, other things have collided with the moon. Other things have exploded on the moon.
Sure.
But they've been controlled. They've been planned. We knew what was going to happen.
Uh-huh. This
is not going to do big damage to the moon. What I'm saying is, stop letting people do this shit because they have $1 billion. Stop it. Knock it off.
He can't keep getting away with this.
This fucking Yahoo.
He can't keep getting away with this. No. I do think that there should be a penalty for blowing something up on the moon.
Sure.
I think that should be an offense. Right?
I'm offended.
I'm offended. The moon is going to be offended. Who's going to defend the moon?
Sokka.
Let's go to war for the moon with just everyone against Elon Musk.
Please.
Right? Like, someone has to defend the moon, and I would think that we should form a moon defense task force.
I zoned out a little bit, but I agreed with you because any sentence that ends with let's form an army against Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I'm automatically like, oh.
Yeah, let's make a moon defense task force.
Listen.
Anthony.
Oh my God, I would love that.
Who's
So anyway.
in? Show yourself. Show yourself in the chat. Show yourself in the comments if you're on YouTube later. Show yourself in the Discord. Who's joining? I'll make you special. I'll make a little badge.
So it's going to happen on the 4th of March. Professor McDowell says it's basically a 4-ton metal tank with a rocket engine on the back. And so if you imagine throwing that at a rocket 5,000 miles an hour, it ain't great. I love it.
I do have one other piece, unfortunately, of Elon Musk news.
No,
and
this
one's
is
much
good.
smaller.
This is a good piece of Elon Musk news because here's the thing. The defense of Elon Musk is always, what a brilliant capitalist who saw a market, saw a need, or saw something and invested in it or created it. It's like, oh, he has to shoot things into space because nobody else is doing it. So he's just going to do it with all his money. Hey, here's a story of a capitalist.
This is the story of a capitalist.
And we like this one.
Elon Musk is mad at a 19-year-old who made a Twitter account tracking his private jet and offered to pay him $5,000 to take it down. Only $5,000. He literally reached in his pocket and said, I'll give you this many to take your Twitter account down.
And here's what the kid said.
No.
He looked at him and said, 50 grand. That's capitalism.
He said, I either want to buy a Tesla or pay for college. I need 50.
Which, by the way, don't get 50 grand from Elon Musk and then turn around and spend it on a car.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't give it back to Elon
Don't
Musk,
shop at the
please.
company store, my
Right.
dude.
Never shop at the company store.
You need 50 grand and a Tesla. He gets Teslas for free.
Uh-huh.
He can have as many as he wants.
Right?
Get a Tesla and 50 grand. I love this. This is a kid who's like, wait a minute. Air traffic records and flight plans are public.
Uh-huh.
Here's where Elon Musk is at any given time.
Yep.
Now, is this doxing? It's definitely saying where the plane's gonna be.
But it is public record.
It's public record. It's a little.
So we're not going to suggest that other people pop up Twitter accounts doing exactly this and hope that Elon Musk pays them to take it down, because it borders on an edge of a problem.
Yeah. Also, he deserves it.
Track Mitch McConnell next.
Please.
Please.
It's just wherever you see a large, dark, necrotic energy on the satellite, that's where Mitch McConnell is. You don't really need to track him via GPS or anything. You just go to the Google satellite and you turn it on to photo, and wherever you see the dark cloud,
Exactly.
and the dying plants, that's
you can tell where Mitch McConnell is.
he's right at the center of that.
Exactly.
Um,
Track him into a volcano.
I want to flip this around,
Okay.
because we're on kind of one of these, and I want to go on one of these.
I feel great. I've started a moon defense task force. I'm going
Listen.
to make t-shirts.
I think you should. Pixelcircus.party/store. Shop. Store should go to the same place. We'll fix that.
Okay.
We'll fix it. Well, I didn't really type anything, but I could have. And that's why nothing gets done.
Go on.
Let's
Let's bring it back up.
So we're going to bring it back up. Hello Games. We love Hello Games.
I thought you were saying hello to games.
I am. And
All right.
also the company.
A name and a promise. Go on.
Hello Games, of course, the creators of No Man's Sky. One of those real Cinderella stories in games where something came out, did not do well, and then they turned it around. You know? It's a real big success story, but it's taken a lot of work. You know, No Man's Sky started off with a team of about 6 people, and they've grown as a company, and all of their resources have been put towards No Man's Sky. And there's a problem with that. You see, before No Man's Sky, Hello Games had a couple of cute little games called Joe Danger. Do you remember Joe Danger?
I don't.
Joe Danger was a lot like Trials, or it was like an Excite Bikey, Trials-y sort of thing where you could set up obstacle courses, and then you were Joe Danger.
That's fun.
And it was cute, and it was good, and it was a big mobile hit for sure.
That makes sense. It looks like a big mobile hit.
It sold about 1 million copies on mobile, but it was also like in the early days of the Xbox Live Arcade, all that stuff. It was a big deal. When I met the Hello Games guys, they were doing they were doing Joe Danger, and we talked a lot about Joe Danger. And you know, for a game to sell 1 million, that's huge.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, No Man's Sky became such a high priority that even 1 million seller like Joe Danger they had to leave it behind. They haven't done anything with it.
Yeah.
And as iOS has gotten updated and updated and updated, obviously the game broke. Sean Murray, video game good boy and head of Hello Games, tweeted out, "A secret shame of ours is that the success of No Man's Sky left our first game, Joe Danger, unloved. Sadly, since iOS called older games, it no longer worked on latest Apple devices. This mail broke our hearts and made us want to set things right." This was an email that he got from a father of a boy named Jack, his 8-year-old son, who is on the autism spectrum. And one of the bright things in Jack's life was Joe Danger.
The email is heartbreaking and so sweet. It is just truly the love of a father being like, this is what my son and I were able to connect over is this game.
One of the things that has enabled Jack and I to bond is our shared love of games, especially Joe Danger. He loves Joe. He loves everything about him. He has a collection of toy motorcycles that he calls Joe Danger. And every motorcycle we see on the street is Joe Danger.
He calls all of his little motorcycles Joe Dangers.
Yeah, he says playing with Joe has allowed Jack to experience normal kid stuff, which as kids get higher up on the autism spectrum, that can be very hard. The world is a very intense place for them. So he goes, "Now's the part where I ask for help. Not only has Joe Danger helped Jack with friends, but it's become an important coping mechanism. And now Joe Danger is gone. You know, they've said like, hey, they sort of use it as like, hey, buddy, if you can get through today, if you can do whatever this thing is that you have to do, we'll play Joe Danger after, I promise. You and I'll sit down and play Joe Danger." And he even has taken to saying when things are hard, he's like, "Okay, I'll do this." And then Joe Danger? And his dad goes, "Yes," and then Joe Danger. And so this guy was like, "Hey man, the iOS update broke it. I know that you have a lot on your plate and this is just one kid, but if there's anything you can do." And so they did. Joe Danger and Joe Danger Touch and Joe Danger Infinity are now updated to work with modern app stores.
Thank you, Hello Games.
Isn't that sweet?
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very cool of you.
I love it.
Anthony,
Yeah.
this kind of make you want to play Joe Danger.
I love Joe Danger.
Like, look, as someone who has many coping mechanisms for my many neurodivergencies, I was like, shit, maybe if I get through today, I could have some Joe Danger.
Yeah.
That actually sounds kind of great.
Just a little bit of Joe Danger from me.
Like 100%, I was like, I think this kid kind of got a good idea. That actually sounds like a great coping mechanism.
Now, Sean does say, as game devs, it's so easy to underestimate the impact even your smallest games can have. It blows my mind that something you make can be somebody's first game they played, hit an important time, or even be their favorite thing for a little while. If you own the original, then it will update and be free to download. If not, we hope that you'll discover the game and enjoy what gave us our start.
I will. Thank you.
I'm autistic. Cassidy Weaver in the live studio audience says, "I'm autistic and bonded with my dad over old Doctor Who." Me and my dad were big on old Doctor Who as well. That was a huge thing. Saturdays were for wrestling and Doctor Who. Like it is for most people.
Hey, wrestling was actually one of the huge things. My uncle partially raised me, and wrestling was the thing that we watched together. As like the weird alternative kid, he could get me in with The Undertaker.
Yeah.
That was it. I didn't care about any of the rest of it, but when the guy rolled his eyes back, I was like, "Oh, you son of a bitch, I'm in."
Saturday mornings for me and my dad were WWF, then Glow, the real Glow,
the original Glow,
and then Doctor Who would come on PBS.
Oh,
and so that would be Saturday mornings.
No.
Santo Hartono in the live studio audience is also saying that the Joe Danger is a full update, retextured and everything. They really put a lot into it.
And there's no ad.
Well, he's saying
This is all free advertising. Oh,
Yeah,
I thought
he's
you said
saying
it's
that
free
this
of
is-
advertising.
this is free
Yeah.
adverts. Like,
And here's the
obviously.
cynic. I mean, yeah, you can say that, but like, I don't know. That kid wins. I don't really care. I'm not somebody who discredits when somebody does something good because it might be PR.
Yeah.
The good thing still gets done, and I don't really care.
I think it's more likely that it was something that they wanted to do for a while. They understood that it was going to be marginally profitable for them once they got the time to do it.
yeah.
They decided to do it, and because of this thing or because of letters like this, and I'm sure somebody on their marketing and PR was like, "Hey, by the way,
We gotta.
this is
promote
going to
this.
be
But
big."
I think that the time spent into remastering this game probably would have honestly been financially better spent in No Man's Sky. So, with that in mind, I don't think that it's entirely financially motivated.
Yeah, they're making enough off of No Man's Sky.
They're doing great on No Man's Sky, and they didn't really have any reason to stray from that other than, maybe something touched their heart a little bit.
Yeah.
I think
Speaking
it's
of things that we all did as children,
Ooh.
because everybody in the live studio audience is talking about comfort things and things they did as kids. Baby, it's 2022, and everybody's playing Yu-Gi-Oh! What the freaking frick?
Now, this doesn't surprise me because we had a huge uptick in Magic the Gathering in the last 2 years due to Arena.
Mhm.
We had a huge uptick in Pokemon card collecting. Not as much of the Pokemon card game, but a ton of Pokemon cards. Naturally, the next step is Yu-Gi-Oh!
So, there's a new Yu-Gi-Oh! Free-to-play game called Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel.
Uh-huh.
It's got like 10,000 different cards. It's supposedly really fun, like really good to play. But like, I did not expect this. You go to the top Steam charts right now, and for the last month, really, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is always in the top 5.
Very interesting.
There are 189,000 people playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel right now. They are right in between Apex and Grand Theft Auto 5.
That's fucking wild.
Sometimes a day, it's up to like 1 or 2. I checked once and it was up around 500,000 people playing Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm-hmm.
That's concurrent right now.
Now, I never played Yu-Gi-Oh! As a kid because I was such a big Magic the Gathering fan from a young age that, like, it didn't stray. Should I? Are any of you one of those 500,000 people? Or whatever, however many? 500,000 people was the peak, I think, right?
Supposedly, it is not just that it's connected to an anime everybody remembers. It's not just because it's from the 90s collectible card game, like, craze.
Mhm.
It's apparently a really, really good card game. And they do some really interesting things mechanically that make it a lot of fun for people. One of the things is if something called Secret Hands. And Secret Hands is something like if you get a particularly rare card,
Mhm.
you draw that one rare, powerful card, and then you have to look at it with a lot of card games, and you have to be like, can I integrate this into my current deck?
Mhm.
If not, do I have to start building an alternate deck around this card?
Right.
This is a great card, but it's only one card. How do I put it into play? Secret Hands are something where if you pull one of these rare cards, it temporarily gives you 5 support cards for that card, so you can try it out in different situations.
Wow. That's a great mechanic.
And it really helps you play with all of the different kinds. With something like a Magic or a Hearthstone or something like that, you find the type of deck that you want to build,
Mhm.
and you don't tend to experiment with a ton of other decks, because how can you? Nobody's got the time. I played Netrunner for a long time,
Mhm.
and it's sort of like, well, this is the deck that I'm doing.
Yeah.
To do anything else there's a cost involved in money and time and all kinds of stuff. So you don't get to try everything. And because of it, there are a lot of people in the comments of this Polygon article about it talking about all the different decks that they've tried and that they've played that have become their main decks
Because of that
because
feature.
of that feature.
That's fucking cool.
They're
I'm
also
gonna go download Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know.
They're also talking about how the fact that there are kinds of decks and types of decks that they've added just for this game that aren't part of the anime, that aren't part of anything in the past. They're really building on this card system. So it's not just for people who remember Blue Eyes White Dragon. You know?
They're really coming for Arena's lunch money.
They really are.
Very interesting.
It's totally free to play, which I think also gooses those numbers. But of course, you'll be able to buy boosts and things like that.
Right,
That's
as
the
is
way it works.
Arena.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting. If everybody wants to move to Yu-Gi-Oh, I don't want to stop them, but I still haven't learned to play Magic.
I'll teach you Magic.
You keep saying.
Well, come over.
All right. Meanwhile, in other parts of video games, if you were to look at some of the concurrent player charts for, I don't know, Hyperspace. You remember Hyperspace, don't you? Ubisoft's big battle royale that was set in kind of a cyberpunk city. Looked pretty cool.
I remember
A lot of running up and down skyscrapers.
I remember hearing about it when it was coming out. And I guess now I'm going, oh shit, it came out?
Yeah, Hyperscape.
You know?
Yeah. And I remember people playing it the first couple weeks,
Mm-hmm.
saying nice things.
Okay.
I think I have a buddy over there that was doing marketing for it, and maybe that's why I heard a lot about it. But this is definitely a game that's it's got an aesthetic that I enjoy, and it's got some mechanics that are interesting. You're popping portals, you're making buildings appear.
Yeah, in theory, this is really fun. It looks like a slightly even more cyberpunky, Apex, right?
Mm-hmm.
Listen,
Oh.
I'm not a psychologist or anything,
Yeah.
but I would diagnose myself.
That's
Same.
that's Hyperscape. Hyperscape is like, look, here's how I would describe myself.
Uh-huh.
Well, here's the problem. We all kind of remember it coming out.
Yeah, vaguely going, oh yeah, that was gonna happen.
It's unfortunately not getting any numbers. And so they're going to have to close it for good in April. April 28th, Hyperscape shuts down. We're seeing a lot of this. We talk about this all the time. Games as a service
Mhm.
is such a big thing in the industry right now. But baby, people only got so much time in a day.
And these games are heavily reliant on another thing we talk about all the time, which is where are your friends? Wherever your gaming group, which these are heavily reliant on getting people online grouped up to play, is where you're going to be. If your friends are on Destiny, you're more likely going to go to Destiny in your free time. Even if you're not playing with them, you're more likely going to be building up in Destiny.
Yeah, a game has to be not just an interesting take on something. A game has to be legitimately something incredible and special and different in order to pull the numbers as a service that you need to right now. A lot of these games that we consider games as a service are so entrenched. Fortnite is 10 years old.
Mhm.
You're trying to get people off of Fortnite? You're trying to get people off of, Apex, which they've been playing for 5 years now?
At least, yeah.
It's not easy. It's not easy. So I understand what's going on here where companies are like, that's where the big money is, but that's only where the big money is for one or two people.
Exactly.
And it takes big money to get into that game.
Mhm.
Ubisoft did not spent a considerable amount of money on that game. You better believe they did.
That's definitely an expensive game.
So, I just feel like looking cool and having kind of like a cyberpunk aesthetic to a thing that I've already seen
Mhm.
isn't going to get you there. It's sort of like, it's got to be a little different. It's like when Valheim came out and is like, oh, Viking crafting village together. Okay, this is different enough where I can get in and I can, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even then, Valheim's numbers are way down
Mhm.
because it's here and gone.
Yeah.
It's
Time
tricky.
comes and passes. And this one really never got that time. It never even came and went. It just kind of slid on by.
Yeah.
So, rip. But also, it's Ubisoft.
Yeah.
You know.
Sorry that you had your innovation team thinking about how to sell a gun skin instead of thinking about how to make Hyperscape better. Yikes, that's salty. I'm kind of a salty dog today.
Yeah?
That's what happens when we start off talking about the NFTs and stuff.
Oh, hey, just a reminder.
Yeah.
We started talking about failed safe. That's what we opened on.
You
Okay,
mean-
back on the failed save hype.
You mean hit actual play D&D show failed save here on Pixel Circus?
At 7 p.m. Pacific tonight, I sure do.
Wow. Who knew? Who knew?
You all better knew.
Earlier this week, Saige.
Yeah?
We were talking about 3 new EA games.
Yes, 3 new Star Wars EA games that were in development, one of them being the sequel to Jedi Fallen Order, and the other 2 being mysteries.
And we brought up
Uh-huh.
a legend, both in Star Wars continuity terms and just in terms of in our hearts.
In our hearts. That, of course, is the Star Wars game 1313. We both talked about how we would just give anything for one of those games to be picking back up on 1313.
And almost as though they heard us. The Vault, the Video Game Historical Association, the Vault and Preservation Association, released brand new footage, never before seen, of 1313. This was the Boba Fett game set in the underworld of Star Wars, in the criminal underground, in those cyberpunky cities that we love seeing in the background of Star Wars stuff so much.
Look how much better this is than Cyberpunk already.
This was like 2012.
They've got one character model, and it's still better than Cyberpunk.
Look at this. Oh,
It's so good.
it's so good. And like the creatures just walking around, and like they're really trying to make it feel lived in a very Star Wars way. So this is more prototypey stuff. You'll see this early on in a game's life where you're just seeing basic geometry and level layouts so they can
They
test.
haven't detailed anything yet.
Yeah, so they can test move setup, move layouts and animations and stuff and contextual things. But look at
Gets you a
Boba
little
go.
Parkour as Boba.
Isn't this wild?
Yes, I want it so bad. Oh! Come on, that's so cool. I see some of these things here, and I'm just like, yeah, we got that in Jedi Fallen Order, the way he climbed there.
We got that in Fallen Order.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff I saw, I was like, oh, they're walking through a little butcher? Is it what'd you see Boba Fett this week? How relevant. But I love this chase scene. You know, obviously 2012, you're talking about how big Uncharted was.
Yep,
And so you're seeing a lot of Uncharted vibes here.
absolutely.
But with our boy,
Like, this is so cool. This game is so cool. I want it so bad. I know this is a completely unfinished, just random fucking shapes, and it's still everything I want. They can
Yeah.
release it as is, and I'd play.
yeah, put it out. Put it out, cowards. Let me skip ahead to so here's where Boba finally catches his bounty. And then they show a bunch of like just test animation footage, fight footage, ragdolling. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. It's fun to see stuff like this.
Oh, what could have been.
And you know, we talked about how one of these games could be something along the lines of a 1313 or a Republic Commando or a Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
I would love to see something like that. You know, all 3 of these games are being made by Respawn.
Yep.
Not just in EA, but by Respawn. And Respawn loves to do character-based traversal, loves to do combat, loves to do quick movement. I would not be surprised if we saw something sort of like this as sort of a complement to the Jedi Fallen Order.
That would be so awesome. That would be so cool. Hey, the Vault, thank you for that gift. That was very fun. Honestly, made my day a little bit when I watched it.
Yeah.
I was just like, "Ah." I just love that even in theory it exists, and I really want to play it.
Yeah, same. Hey, do you want to know something that we're both really going to want to play?
Yes, I do. I was gonna see if we could talk about this next.
Boy, you want to talk about a Venn diagram of all our interests. Steamforged, who made the Resident Evil, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Dark Souls board game, which I have the Dark Souls board game. It came to my house in 6 boxes.
I've seen it.
The Dark Souls board game has complex AI systems for characters that you fight against. It's wild. Steamforge does wild stuff.
So, they have been developing, and we talked about this when it was announced, a Dark Souls role-playing game. We love an RPG in this house. We're very excited about it. That
RPG
sounds
like
fantastic.
Failsafe?
An RPG kind of like Failsafe, which is on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. And to some extent, so is the Dark Souls role-playing game. The Dark Souls role-playing game will be based off of the open source version of the 5e rules, which means this might be campaign compatible for you. You might be able to just run it.
You might be able to throw one of these good Dark Souls boys. One of the Kindle, like, you might be able to throw them in as a character class.
Yeah, you might be able to throw them in to your game existing. There might be cool monsters that you can add to your campaigns. Hell, maybe a module in there that you get to run. I don't know. I'm very excited.
Yeah, and they have done stuff that's compatible with 5e before. They made the beginner-focused Animal Adventures RPG starter set, if you've heard of that. They also made basically their entire like Epic Encounters line, which are their modules and adventures that they sell with a full set of miniatures because they make miniatures. They're a board game company. This is very good.
This is very, very good. I would love to play this.
Yeah, throwing some Dark Souls stuff into a 5e campaign would be a lot of fun.
So pre-orders begin for this in February, and what I want to know is, should we run it here on the channel?
Ooh.
Should we run a Dark Souls one-shot?
Can I DM a Dark Souls one-shot?
Yes, Anthony, you can.
Ooh.
I got the keys to the castle, baby, and I am not good at keeping track of them. Everybody gets a key.
We make so many copies of the keys to the castle.
Yeah, the other day I got locked in my home and Kaylee had to let me out with her key. She was coming over anyways, but she came up to the door and I was like, I can't get out because my door locks from the inside with a key and I can't find my keys. And she was like, hold on, I've got it. And I was like, thank goodness I gave you a key because I had forgotten too.
We do believe that something weird was going on with the people who owned Saige's home before she moved in, because a lot of doors lock from like inside, outside, places they shouldn't lock.
Correct.
And it's very strange.
Yeah, it's a little weird. I will admit it's a little weird. Yeah, there's like key locks from the inside, so you have to have a key to get out the door. And I gotta say, very frustrating when I can't find my keys.
Perhaps somebody was living with a very smart monkey.
Maybe that's it. And they were afraid that they would undo the deadbolt. So
it's probably just a very smart monkey. On the Dark Souls tip, ooh, I love it when people like say their salty private thoughts in public.
Yeah. When they put the inside thoughts outside.
Like, boy, you don't want to say the quiet part loud, and you did. We're all waiting on Elden Ring.
Of course.
Which is, of course, made by From Software, creators of Dark Souls, but also is in a world that was created and the scenario was written by
George R. R. Martin.
George Railroad Martinique, the creator of such books as No More Ever. Never making another one. And on the flip side of fantasy, you have Brandon Fantasy Sanderson. Brandon Fanta Sanderson, who writes 1 million books a day.
Right.
And most famously and recently, Mistborn. Brandon Sanderson was at a con, and an audience member asked him how the Mistborn characters wound up in Fortnite. And he went off on a thing about like how much he loves video games and all this stuff, but then he did go farther. He just kept talking. He answered the question and then he kept talking.
He could have stopped.
He could have stopped at any time. So he was like, hey, you know, most of the requests go to the agent these days, but sometimes they pop up for me. And he literally said, but let me be salty. And he said From Software decides to make a fantasy game and partner with a novelist, right? And they choose someone who spends his days blogging about the NFL rather than the person who has played their games since Kingsfield and has listed their games among his top 10 consistently over time? What are you thinking, people? If you don't know, they went to George and they made a game with George, and I'm like, George doesn't play video games. George has no idea. So anyway, there you go.
They didn't come to me when I said that I like their games. Don't they know that I have said that I like their games?
Listen, we do call Germ here in this house. We do call him the English Muffin Man. Because we know Germ, he works on his own terms.
Uh-huh.
The Germ terms.
The Germ terms.
And the Germ terms is this: you don't rush the Germ. And the Germ doesn't want to learn about anything the Germ don't want to learn. Germ learn? Germ. Not unless you want to.
That's not in the Germ terms.
That's not in the Germ terms. What I think is funny about this is, like, you don't have to really love video games to come up with the background world and lore for a video game.
Right. If you write good worlds, great. Then you write a good video game world.
That's what they want. They want somebody to come up with these scenarios and then they turn it into gameplay.
Exactly. They know how to do that part at FromSoft. They don't need George R.R. Martin sitting in there and being like, hey, actually, I think when he swings, I think you should see a little more movement from the shoulder.
No.
No.
And he certainly doesn't want to talk about how items affect stats or anything like that. And because he don't care and he doesn't have to.
We don't want him to.
I think it's very, very fast. But, and sometimes somebody who is a huge fan can come in and want to be too hands-on with too much of this stuff.
Yeah.
I can see Brandon Sanderson sitting down and trying to, like, get them to tweak the stats on, like, a ring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could see him doing that. And maybe you want to work with people that way and maybe you don't. But here's the other thing, like, maybe the people, and this is wild, maybe the people at From Software aren't huge fantasy fans. Did you think about that the other way around? And so when they were like, let's work with somebody from fantasy, they were like, this guy do the most fantasy and the biggest
fantasy right now.
We need a guy to write some backstory and put his name on the box.
It could be anything. They could be just big George R.R. Martin fans in particular. That could be the case. There could be any number of reasons that it wasn't you. But hey, might be salty when you could just be quiet.
Yeah, you could just be quiet. You could, and here's something that's really wild, depending on what your relationship is with Germ. And it sounds like maybe you and Germ are a little, I don't know. Somebody who's more in that space can tell me. But hey, you could call up the Germ and be like, Germ, I love these guys and their games so much.
Mm-hmm.
If there's anything I can do,
yep,
let me know.
Yep.
So many people want to get salty when they could
get work
and get friendly, you know? So he says, by the way, the Germ said on a Chicago news station last year, my work on this game was actually done years ago. These games, they're like movies. They take a long time to develop. They just wanted a world created to set the game in. That's a big factor in fantasy. You're not only talking characters and plot, but setting.
Mm-hmm.
I worked up a fairly detailed background, and then they took it from there.
Right.
He probably hasn't talked to the people at From Software in years.
Exactly.
Other than, hey, Germ, we released this update.
Right. They brought George R.R. Martin on when people were still celebrating George R.R. Martin, most likely. They probably brought him on when Game of Thrones was good.
Dude, they probably brought him on around, like, season 3, and then, like, they got to season 7, and they were like, oh, did we bring on the right guy? Is the ring really Elden? Is it Elden enough? They're probably, like, sending him emails and thinking that, like, maybe he's going to put them on social, not knowing that, like, dude's got a live journal and nothing else.
Yeah.
I feel like when Germ updates his live journal, he literally types it on an Olivetti typewriter and hands it to a kid that puts it into live journal. That's how I feel.
1,000%. There's a 19-year-old intern that's just like, yeah, sure thing, man. Retyping out all of his blog posts.
Anyway, don't get salty, Brandy
Mm-mm.
Sandy.
Mm-mm.
Sandy should be a name, not a promise. You know?
Yeah.
You
course, and
write
it
you
gets
write good
everywhere.
stuff.
Right.
You can work with video game.
Yeah, you too could do a video game someday. Less likely now.
Yeah, less likely now that people know that you talk about stuff like this.
Yeah, right?
That's the kind of thing that makes people go, "Ooh, okay." Other than being like, "Man, I was so excited that they were making a game and they needed a fantasy writer. They went with George. George is amazing. I wish I could have done something like that. That must be like a dream gig." If anybody's ever working on something like this, just know, Brandy Sandy, he's your man.
The fourth Sanderson sister.
If he can't do it, Gurm probably can do it better and keep his mouth shut.
You're probably right.
What
else we got?
What else we got? You like Monster Hunter?
Yeah, absolutely.
We all like Monster Hunter.
Who doesn't like Monster Hunter?
I think this story is interesting because it shows a lot of what's going to happen in the industry now. It's already been, people making games that play like other games has always been a thing. That's how genres get invented, right?
Mm-hmm.
We now call something a battle royale. The PUBG people will be happy to tell you.
Woo to battle royale.
But Monster Hunter is so huge. It's such a massive, massive thing within games right now.
Mm-hmm.
That everybody want that Monster Hunter. And that's not just players. That's on the other side. People want to make that Monster Hunter.
Of course they do. And I do see Monster Hunter as being something that is inevitably a genre.
We had that, what's the name of the one that's on the Epic Game Store, the free-to-play Monster Hunter? I played it for like 3 days, and I was like, this is really just Monster Hunter with micropayments.
Huh.
Begins with a D. Dauntless. Thank you, the Ben Jack. It looks like Fortnite, but it's also Monster Hunter.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I played it for 3 days. Oh, there's our producer, Dagger.
A fluffy tail.
He was coming up to tell me that it was Dauntless, but don't worry. Ben got him.
I need to speed that up, Dagger.
So everybody wants to play Monster Hunter. Everybody wants their take on Monster Hunter. Microsoft wants a Monster Hunter. Now, you can play Monster Hunter on Xbox.
But they want one that they own.
They want their own Monster Hunter.
And I mean, that's going to be the big moves for Microsoft going forward, considering they've bought all of the games.
So this is, thinking about Game Pass and the amount of studios that they own now.
Mm-hmm.
This is where Microsoft starts asking questions like, do we try to pay Capcom to license Monster Hunter for Game Pass?
Or do we just make our own and put it on Game Pass?
And then people will say like, well, I would buy Monster Hunter, but I've got Monster Hunter at home.
Yeah. And here's the thing. Monster Hunter at home, I mean, could be pretty good. It's being made by Certain Affinity, right?
Yeah, so Certain Affinity, they're mostly known for working alongside of other studios to help with things like Doom, Left 4 Dead, Call of Duty, and of course, Halo, which is how Microsoft has such a huge and good relationship with them. Certain Affinity had signed an agreement to lead development on an original IP last year with Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
So whether the IP had been thought about and planned out at that point, or whether it was just like, hey kid, we're moving you up to the big leagues and you're making your own game, we don't know. Oh no. Oh no.
So distracted. Staring at me, wagging his little tail.
Our producer Dagger, who of course you will know is my boy, my perfect prince, but doesn't care about me. Cares about Saige. Are we going to Saige's? He won't get up in the morning unless I say, hey, do you want to go to Saige's? He thinks that he is dating Saige. He genuinely does.
Yeah, but do you have anything to say to the people?
Dauntless. Yeah,
So
we know.
We're behind schedule.
We
Go
know.
on.
So Certain Affinity will be creating this Monster Hunter-like. The company is led by Max Hoberman, who is the multiplayer and online lead for the Halo series, which bodes well for a co-op game. Their official statement says, "Are we excited to take on a genre and style of game that we've always loved?" See, now this is where it happens.
A genre and style.
Yeah, the genre is Monster Hunter and the style is Monster Hunter. The category on Jeopardy would be Monster Hunter.
Right.
But this is how it happens. They slowly slide in and they go, this do be a genre now.
Yeah. Name a genre of game that you love.
Co-op hunting of giant beasts.
What is Monster Hunter?
What is a Monster Hunter? Was the answer. Are we excited to take on a genre and style of game that we've always loved? Thrilled beyond words. Are we honored to be bringing this game to the market? Indescribably so. Are there any other tantalizing details regarding this new venture? More than we can say.
I do love the enthusiasm.
This is a team that very often has to not go into the limelight because they're helping other teams finish their games. And so whoever is their marketing and PR just used up all of their exclamation points they've been saving.
Honestly, I love that.
I love it.
I really do love it. I would love to know how you all feel about, games that become genres. It's an inevitable part of games. You know what I mean? Platformers. We wouldn't have, there's always a start of it where it's one game and like Donkey Kong Mario exists. And then all of a sudden it's an entire genre based on those games. That's kind of the natural progression of it. But as we get larger and larger, people aren't developing entirely new game systems like the platformer did, for instance.
Yeah.
They're developing niches within that, like monster hunting. So as we get into these smaller and smaller things that become these tiny micro genres, how do you feel about that? Do you feel like a lot of these are like a plagiarism issue, or do you enjoy the idea of having options within a new genre that you really like?
Yeah, my personal feeling on it is like, when I played Dauntless, I was like, oh, I see who this is for. This is for people that don't like the fiddly, grindy, crafty aspects of Monster Hunter. They wanted that simplified so they can just go out and fight big monsters. For me, that removed a lot of what was interesting about Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
But I can see where there is I know so many people who try to get into Monster Hunter and it bounces off of them because there's a lot you got to learn and there's a lot you got to do.
Right.
So I think there's a place for this sort of stuff. And hopefully Certain Affinity has a take on this that we're going to enjoy.
I'm in favor of it. I mean, you look at things too, like recently there's a huge genre that's spawned around Stardew Valley. And the genre that's spawned around that has made incredible games. I love the idea of playing a game that I love, either just playing as much as I can of it and getting tired of it, or finishing a game. And knowing that there's going to be more like it is very good for me.
Yeah. And you're like, I know this isn't exactly it.
Right.
But it scratches enough of the itch, and maybe it has enough of its own thing where this becomes one of my favorites too.
Exactly.
Oh, lordy.
Oh, God.
You know that Horizon Forbidden West? We're really excited about it.
Very excited.
IGN put out a video doing a comparison of Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West, and what it looked like versus now, the glow up video, and one tiny clip in it showed Aloy rappelling from a tree.
Okay.
In both games. This is what Aloy. Oh my god. Oh my god. NDI. We'll figure it out one day. So this is 5 seconds of literally just an animation. And somebody tweeted, copy and paste. It got 5,000 quote tweets. It got a bunch of retweets. Somebody said, he then said, remember they're charging $70. Hey, dog.
Whoa, settle down.
Calm the fuck down.
Okay.
This is wild.
Now, Self-Aware Can Opener in a live studio audience said a pretty iconic thing from the first game. Sure.
Yeah.
But it's 3 seconds. That does not make the game not have value. We have seen so much footage of how fucking incredible Horizon Forbidden West looks. It is new. The technology in Horizon Forbidden West is groundbreaking for games. The amount of new things we're getting in this, the amount of new features and look and just like pushing the boundaries of the capability of games is massive.
Do you think reusing animations is new?
Right?
Do you think, hey man, there were like 4 Arkham games, right? Batman do move like Batman. Assassin's Creed, he do walk like the Assassin's Creed.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like this is a normal thing. I'm not paying $70 for a repelling animation.
Correct.
I'm paying $70 for an updated game with new gameplay, a new story, new things to do. And people started picking this thing apart like that dinosaur robot walks the same way.
Yeah, dinosaur robots should. My
dude, there was nothing wrong with the animation the first time. What is the problem? Why is this? This falls into such an old school, like toxic platform versus platform mentality. That is so wild to me. Hey man, you ever play a fighting game? Capcom hasn't redrawn Ryu in 90 years. I remember playing, like, you'll play Capcom games that are like updated versions of like classic Capcom games, and you'll notice the difference. Like, oh, that sprite's from Marvel Capcom 2. Oh, that one's literally from Darkstalkers on the Saturn.
Yup.
And they're 2 different resolutions. Like,
Astro Day in the live studio audience said, what is this, a sequel?
Ugh.
Right?
And that's the thing is, like, you know, when Self-Aware Can Opener says that's such an iconic thing from the first game, why would you, like, I think part of what they were saying was, why would you change it? That's the thing.
Right, that's iconic. That's how she does that.
That's how she does it, and it's cool.
Come on.
Come on.
Come on. Look, I'm somebody who rarely gets excited for a AAA game. It's not my genre of games. I'll dip a toe in to a AAA game. Absolutely. I'll want to check it out and see what all of the hype is about.
Ooh.
But like, I'm not somebody who's like, holy shit. Because I'm not someone who's in it for graphics. I'm not someone who's in it for that. I love a little story game. I love a little indie. That's where I sit in my favorite games. I'm so excited. This game looks so fucking cool. This is something that is actually doing something that to me is the first thing that goes, now this is actually the next generation of games.
Yeah, sorry we didn't redo her repelling animation while we were recording like hours and hours and hours of new mocap for the new story and the new characters we were, like, you know what I mean? Like,
this is next gen games.
This is what it is. And this did start a large discussion about copying and pasting code. Like, is a sequel worth a full $70 if they reuse much of the engine, if they reuse much of the many of the assets? When is something worth full price versus, especially as games are going up in price?
Yeah, I will agree. Games shouldn't be $70. I'll meet you there. We can't keep raising the price of things and not the minimum wage. But
but the other thing is, like, that sort of ignores like the modularity of games and the fact that parts can be reused. You know, reused from Street Fighter. We were talking about them earlier.
Of course.
They can be reused, and that actually alleviates a lot of crunch and a lot of labor in the future. So like when studios are making these giant AAA games, you don't make a Horizon Zero Dawn without being able to go up on a whiteboard and show everyone how this is how much work it's going to be, but this is what we can reuse to make the next one, and this is how much it's going to be to make the next one, all throughout, you know? And so that sort of eventual lowering of cost is factored in. That's why so many of these big companies use their own engine and just update their own engine and use that for everything.
Yep.
That's why so many companies license Unreal. There's a lot of like armchair game development, like there is armchair filmmaking, armchair, you know, everything. And there's a lot of ins and outs and complexity to things that we will never understand because we're not inside of it.
Right.
But I don't mind if people like reuse some code to give me a new game in a series that I love.
Yeah,
Why would that be a problem for me?
if you're reusing the story, then we'll start having a conversation.
You know, that's like, well, these cookies you made are the same as yesterday. Yeah, I used the same recipe. Bullshit.
You've got
Bullshit.
cookies in front of you.
I paid $1 for this cookie yesterday, but clearly all the work into coming up with the cookie is done.
Right.
Today, I'd like to pay 50 cents for the cookie.
Mm-hmm. But you're getting another cookie. And you liked the cookie yesterday.
I did.
You came back for another cookie.
But I'm telling you, you didn't put as much labor into making this cookie. The conceptualization and the IP of the cookie already existed.
No. No, I don't think that you should have any cookies then. I don't think that you get any cookies.
I want all the cookies, but I want them for half price. Now, there is another discussion to be had within this about, like, DLC was supposed to save us from this, right? The promise of DLC was, well, the next Horizon, and they do this to a certain extent. You'll buy Horizon, and then we'll give you Forbidden West or Frozen Horizon. You know the Frozen one.
Yeah, the one with Elsa.
Yeah. Snow Horizon. You remember when they added the snow to Horizon? Frozen Wastes. Thank you. They give you Frozen Wastes. That's DLC. Doesn't cost as much as the full game. And the idea of DLC when it first came out was, and then we'll just keep doing it.
Right. We just keep updating the games. We keep providing more content for them instead of purchasing another game. We haven't gotten to that yet. There are some games that are doing so. I mean, you have Grand Theft Auto 5, for instance, who's just going to keep coasting on 5 as long as they can. But then you also have these games that are doing it. And people are like, well, where's the next one? Where's the new game?
The biggest argument for this happens with people who play sports games, of course, when the engine, the graphics, a lot of the features, nothing really changes from year to year except player rosters. And the idea was DLC was supposed to give you the option to just update player rosters and information for a lowered price. Of course, that doesn't happen because EA has a monopoly on sports games. So, they're going to charge full price. But I think, more so than Frozen Wastes, when you look at Forbidden West, you can see the updating of the technology.
You absolutely can.
You can see it immediately.
Again, there's a huge generational gap between them.
It really did make a difference. And I think to expect a discount on it because maybe she does her somersault and her rappelling the same way is just the most reductive shit I've ever heard. I still don't think games should cost $70.
I agree.
But don't be a dick about this, bud.
Don't be a dick about it. What lessons are you taking away from today's show? Hey, don't be salty when you could be quiet. Right? Okay. Don't be a dick about it. And defend the moon with everything you have in you.
We must defend the moon.
We are assembling a task force.
Listen to me.
We're all going to get matching t-shirts, and we ourselves are going to form an alliance against Elon Musk in defense of the moon.
For too long now, the moon has been under siege.
We must protect the moon from the Musk.
We can't have him getting his Musk all over the moon.
No Musk on the moon.
No Musk moon.
Join us in the Moon Defense Task Force, and we will see you later tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific for Failed Save. We hope that you will be there. We're kicking off a whole new campaign. If you haven't seen anything up to this point, it should be a great point to jump in because there's going to be a lot of new stuff starting.
Ooh, baby.
You don't have to have seen everything up to this point. You should. It's all available.
All new, all amazing is what we're calling
very fun. We're going to have a good time.
And we're going to have such a good time.
We're going to play D&D together.
It's so good. Y'all, it is so good. Also remember that if you're a patron, you get a little something special today as well.
That is so true. You're going to see a lot of us today. We do that every week, and when you subscribe to the Patreon, you get access to all the bonus content. You also get access to the Failed Save podcast early before it releases on podcast platforms. If you are a patron as well.
So go be a patron. Hey, or not. That's up to you.
Of course. There's a lot of other ways to support us.
We're not selling Bored Apes or whatever.
Never.
We're just like, hey, do it if you want. But just coming and joining us has been great. We love it when people come and watch the show. That's why we make a show.
That's so true.
If you want to join the Discord, hang out, chat, send in story suggestions. We love that as well. Maybe tell a friend about the show, tweet about it, send them a link to something. We love that.
We do.
It's all good stuff. Hey, Saige, other than just so much Pixel Circus today, where you at?
You can find me everywhere on the internet at Not Saige. I stream on my channel every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Saturday. You can also find me on the Smosh Games channel all the damn time, as well as the D&D channel for the Black Dice Society. Yesterday I was on D&D Beyond talking about wizard spells. So that's all up on their stuff as well. Anthony.
Yes.
What about you?
Oh, my stars and garters, thank you for asking, Saige. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Carboni, except for here on Twitch, where I'm at Anthony Carboni. Twitch, you cowards, it's mine. Give it back to me. Today's Friday. There will be a new episode of We Have Concerns, which is my science comedy podcast with Jeff Kanata. It's very good. It won some awards that they then tried to take away from us, but that's a whole story. That's a whole story for another time.
We'll tell it another time.
Also, every Wednesday, Saige and I are on Kinda Funny's channel talking about the Book of Boba Fett, doing their Boba Fett in review series on the Kinda Funny screencast. So be sure to follow those people for all of that. We love a Star Wars. And you know, Saige,
what?
You can find me right here screaming out the names of the people who directly supported us during this episode.
Roll call.
Santo Hartono, thank you for the bits. Lyco Loco, thank you for the Prime sub, taking a little of those Beezy bucks out of the Beezy pockets and the puppets.
Yep.
To the Extreme, with a resub for 3 months, saying, hi from the Kinda Funny community. I love seeing you both on the Boba Fett reviews. Thank you. We love being a part of them. Danny Boy's Calling Pipes, giving a tier 1 sub. Thank you. Also tipping $50. That is a wild. So wild. Kurt with the $25 tip. Both of these tips, by the way, are for the Moon Defense Task Force. Danny Boy's Calling Pipes with another gift sub. So many gift subs. Danny Boy's Calling Pipes just keeps doing it. Skywalker9982, thank you for the bits. Old Man Jan, thank you for the bits. Tom Bidan with the 3 gift subs, thank you. Skywalker with more bits. Santo Hortono with more bits. 54 Aquasnakes with 500 bits saying, welcome back, failed save. Thank you. We are so glad to be back. Meg Soriano, thank you so much for the resub on a 2-month streak. That is great to see. More gift subs, more everything. Ryan Shiro, thank you for the sub. Tier 1 Flannel Fries with $9 says 9 for 9K followers.
We did hit 9K.
Hey!
That's one away from 10.
Cassie Weaver with the bits saying, love mornings. We love doing this show for you in the morning. Our feeling on mornings is still yet to be decided. Thank you all for your support during today's episode. And we know that a lot of you have supported before. Thank you for your donations, your subscriptions, everything you've done in the past and leading up to now. Remember that subscriptions go towards overhead for this entire network, everything we need to run multiple shows. Donations go to whoever you're seeing on camera, which is me and Saige and sometimes Dagger, although he's on camera less, so he gets a smaller percentage. He also eats less.
Yeah.
So he needs less money to survive.
That's true, but there are always treats and toys for him.
Thank you all so much for being here, BBs. If you're a patron, we'll see you in just a few minutes. And if you're not a patron, we'll see you in just a few hours for Failed Save Campaign 2, premiere tonight, 7 p.m.
Pacific, goodbye!